Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has again intervened to halt the escalating feud between Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara and his predecessor and estranged godfather Nyesom Wike. The peace deal came after months of failed settlements that had pushed the state to the brink of governorship impeachment, legislative paralysis, and prolonged instability. Recall that the president has previously intervened in the rift between Fubara and Wike in December 2023 when he brokered a fragile peace which broke down soon after, leading the declaration of a 6-month emergency rule in the state on March 18, 2025 by Tinubu and suspension of the governor. However, in the fresh push to diffuse one of the country's most combustible political disagreements in recent times, Tinubu ordered an immediate suspension of any impeachment moves against Fubara, but with very strict conditions, which include a blunt message to Fubara that Wike remains the undisputed political leader of the party, whether APC or People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Rivers State, and he must be respected in that regard. Dr. Lilonu Nwibu Bassey, a former Rivers State Commissioner for Employment, Generation and Economic Empowerment, who described the FCT Minister, Wike, as a promoter and beneficiary of political crisis in the state, here reacts.
First of all, when there is crisis, we need to know who is benefiting from this crisis. In 2014 and 2015, the present FCT minister was Minister for Education, Junior Minister for Education. And of course, we are aware of the role he played between the former Governor Rotimi Amechi and the former First Lady Patience Jonathan. He introduced a crisis that rocked the government of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and that cost Jonathan his second tenure. But Wike was the beneficiary because he became governor of Rivers State after that crisis. You are also aware that sometimes in 2018, 2019, Governor Wike, this crisis promoter, also promoted crisis within the APC that led APC not to have a candidate in the 2019 election. Again, in 2023, Governor Wike also promoted crisis in the PDP that led to the loss of the PDP in the 2023 election, and that ended Governor Wike, the FCT minister. So someone has been a crisis promoter in Rivers State and has always been benefiting from crisis. So it is not strange that Governor Wike former Governor Wike is at it again, this time against his political godson, who he placed in Rivers State as a stooge, which he wants to dictate everything he will do as governor. And so whatever agreement that was reached, it still places Wike at the apex of deciding what will happen in Rivers State politics. But let me quickly state that it is completely immoral for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to sit in an APC-led government and dictate who becomes the leader of PDP in Rivers State. That, to me, is laughable. How could a party like APC lose such their moral compass to the point that they want to sit in their own party and dictate who becomes the leader of another party? That, again, tells us that they validated the claims from the opposition that the APC want to railroad Nigeria into a one-party state, which of course we will not accept. The ADC is up and strong, and we will diffuse all that they put together to put this country under that kind of situation. So for Governor Fubara, yes, Wike brought him. The Rivers people stood by him. He has torpedoed so many times, surrendered so many times. And so I think he has lost the trust of Rivers people. And what Rivers people are looking at right now is to see a leader that will defend their rights, that will put food on their table, that will clean their streets, that will provide employment for the people. And so Rivers people must begin to look at a new direction of midwifing a new leadership for the state, and not to sit to become the ones that are divided, either to support or to sympathize. Yet they have no food on their table, and the economy of Rivers State is going down every day. At the end of the day, Governor Fubara has food to eat. Minister Wike has food to eat, but Rivers people are the ones that are hungry. They are the ones that are suffering. And yet, they've been so impoverished that poverty has been so weaponized that they don't have a choice where to go to. And so it is a very terrible situation that we are seeing in Rivers State and what the APC-led government is promoting in terms of telling us that if the president's intervention has truly been followed justice and peace and true reconciliation, I can tell us for sure that there would have been peace in Rivers State for the many times that the president has tried to intervene in the crisis in Rivers State. But because it is not following peace, because there is no justice, because there is no equality, you cannot have true reconciliation. True reconciliation comes when there is truth, when there is peace, and when there is justice. We ought to be practicing a federal system of government where the states are federating units. And so I don't even see where the president has a business to intervene in issues in any state if we practice democracy and the rule of law is obeyed. It is because the system is dysfunctional. The rule of law is not obeyed. The courts are just at the whims and caprices of people who are in power, so they dictate what the court does. You can see a House of Assembly in Rivers State where you see 27 members who wake up in the morning and then one man dictates their action, tells them what to do, tells them when to sit and when not to sit. So how can the president move into matters like that, except that the states have been allowed to function according to the Constitution, which is not what we are seeing in an APC-led government. The president seems to, at this point, with all sense of responsibility, become a busybody in what happens in states, which ought not to be so. There are so many burdens at the national level where the president should be focusing on how to reduce insecurity, reduce the burden on Nigeria, and look at governance as a whole. Corruption is now at every doorstep of governance. And so how should Rivers State become a model space to experiment what this present government will want to do in other states, as to ensure that the governors in those states are kept in such a position of fear and surrender, so that anytime you can see the people are celebrating that, oh, Mr. President has come to solve problem in our state, when we ought to have leadership in every state that should solve our problem. If the leaders of the states and the governors can no longer solve their problem, and we think that the president should be the bishop and the pope of the entire nation, then we should dissolve the states and know that we are running a government, only have appointees at the subnational level. Where that is not, I do not even think that the president should have business if the law is running the way it ought to be.